Good morning, it's me again. I'm continuing my video from the first one. We're talking about commitment today. And the first thing we got to commit to is to listening to God's voice. If you've forgotten what God's voice is all about, it's time for you to get back into prayer. It's time for you to get into study of the Word of God. It's time for you to climb that mountain and seek that intimacy with God again so that you can recognize His voice. Now, today we're going to talk about the thing that we have to do when we commit to following God's voice, following Jesus. And there are certain things that we have to do. Okay? John 15, verse 15 and 17 says, I no longer call you slaves, because the slave does not understand what his master is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have revealed to you everything I heard from my Father. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit that remains, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, He will give you. This I command you, to love one another. All right, so a couple of things come to mind. God chose you. You ended up being in a position that you came to know of God's love, and you accepted Him in your life. And now He gives us a great commandment. Something else that we need to commit to when we're following Jesus is that we need to love one another. Do you need to love the prostitute? Yes. Do you need to love the homosexual? Yes. I'm not saying love what they're doing, but you need to love them as a person, respect them, and not mistreat them, because that's not what Jesus was all about. Jesus was about loving people. And that's what we Christians have to do. We have to love people. We have to share the things that God has done in our life, how great God is. And we're not here to throw stones at anybody. We're not here to mistreat them or alienate people. We're not here to do that. We're here to love one another. We need to commit today. How can I show the love that God has placed in me? How can I show it to other people today? God, use me so that somebody else can see how much you love them. You know, that is one of the biggest things, love, because Jesus is all about love. And He's about loving your neighbor, doing right, instead of, you getting revenge or doing something bad back to a person. Do right by them. Show them that you have a God who loves. You go above and beyond what the other people around you are doing. You do the opposite of what society expects you to do, or what your friends expect you to do, or what most people do. You do what God would do. What would Jesus do? Commit today to love one another, to love yourself, to love your neighbors, to give fruit. One of the things that I read in the verse, it says to go bear fruit. God has called you to give fruit. What fruit is He talking about? The fruit of the Spirit. You got love, patience, kindness, all of those fruit, joy, all of that. Those are the things that you are supposed to display. And it doesn't come naturally. It's something that is developed over time. It is something that you have to commit yourself to doing, because many times you don't feel like loving people because of the things they do. They get to be annoying, irritating. They do things that, wow, where are the ethics? Where are the manners? People nowadays look around, there's people with no manners. And then you have to be the bigger person. You have to commit to show the fruit of the Spirit in your life. You got to pray it, and you have to meditate in the Lord, whatever you got to do to show that you have the fruit of the Spirit in your life. So commit today to love one another. Commit today to bear fruit. You're a Christian, you need to show it by your fruit. Your life should reflect that. There's a lot of criticism about Christians nowadays, and I'm shocked by the things that I see. People who call themselves Christian are not showing the fruit. And the biggest thing of all is that if you don't love your neighbor, if you don't love people, the way that Jesus would want you to, then you don't really know God. In no way, shape, or form do you know God. Do you serve God? You don't, because Jesus was all about loving your neighbor. Jesus was all about bearing fruit and showing that you go above and beyond what other people might humanly do. You do the right thing, what Jesus would do, you know? Remember, you're the chosen one. Commit to love today. Commit to bear fruit. God bless you.